Welcome to the Miller Hospice volunteer orientation video. We're so glad that you joined our team. We're looking forward to having you on board and seeing all the great things that come from this. As you already know, we are a non-medical entity of Miller Hospice. Our job is to be social and emotional support for the patient as well as for their family. If you go out into the home to help the patient, you're going to be giving respite care to the primary caregiver, usually a husband or wife, but sometimes it's a child or grandchild. It gives them a break, allows them to go to the doctor or the store or get their hair done or whatever they want to do. And they really, really appreciate that. And that kind of care is called direct care. So direct care is anytime that you have interaction with the patient, either by phone or personally face-to-face, or with the caregiver face-to-face or on the phone. Anytime there's direct contact with the patient or their family, that's that kind of care. The other one is indirect care, and that's if you come into the office, help with marketing, help maybe make patient folders so that when the admit nurse goes out, she can just grab that folder and go. Setting that thing up ahead of time is very helpful to the office staff. So that's indirect care, and both of those count. Medicare is our primary payer, and they do require that there is a volunteer department with every hospice. And so you are helping fulfill a crucial role in Miller's journey as being a provider for hospice. So in that regard, you will be getting a report form that you need to fill out every time you either come to the office or go out and see a patient. That's either emailed or take a picture with your phone and send it to the volunteer coordinator so that it can be logged in the computer and we can show that we're being compliant with their requirements for volunteer services. Excuse me. When you go out, what are the things that you do? You listen to the patient talk, let them tell you about their life before they were the way they are now. It's good to have a sense of humor. If you've got a good sense of humor, they still want to laugh. They want to enjoy whatever time they have left. And so you're a big part of that. As they're cared for by their caregiver or the nurses or those kind of people, they're dealing with their physical needs. They're giving them medication, they're changing their brief, they're addressing their wounds. But what you bring to the table is that emotional and social support, helping them feel like somebody cares about who they are as a person. So you listen, play games with them. I was a volunteer before I took this position, and what I did is my patient was a woman who was 95. She had never played Scrabble. She had done a lot of crossword puzzles, but she'd never played Scrabble. So I said, oh, I'll just get a Scrabble game, bring it over. And we played Scrabble every time I went there. And honestly, she beat me every time. She had a vocabulary of words I'd never heard of. So I would challenge her and say, are you sure that's a word? And we'd look it up, sure enough. So she beat me. It was a lot of fun. If you have the ability or talent to play music instrumentally or sing, please do that. One of the volunteers recently was out with her patient at a facility, and she turned on the TV because that patient likes to listen to Christian gospel hymns. And they both sat there and sang for like 20 minutes. And the patient really enjoyed that. So just be creative and do the things that you love and bring them into it, or find out what they love and join them with that. It's just very rewarding. I think you're going to love it. What we can do is give them food and water. Some of our patients now are unable to feed themselves because of stroke or Parkinson's or something. And so as a volunteer, you can go out there and help them with their meals. You can give them things to drink. The thing you cannot do is give them medication. So if their medication's already set up, you can put it within reach, but you're not able to put it into their hands. That is considered dispensing medication, and we are forbidden from doing that. So please don't do that. Also, you're another set of eyes with that patient. So the nurses and CNAs only go out 2 or 3 times a week. So in between there, that patient might have an injury. If you notice a bruise or a cut or swelling any place on that patient that you didn't notice before, please alert Miller to that when you're done with your session. And also indicate that in your notes when you turn the report in so that it can be logged in the computer. It's really important. So besides being emotional and social support, you're also looking for changes in that patient that you might want to alert Miller to. Confidentiality is a big issue. Please don't ever speak about your patient with their name, their address, their diagnosis to anybody outside of Miller. That is HIPAA rules, and we want to stay compliant with that. So just keep that under your hat. Talk in generalities if you share with your family or friends about what you're doing at Miller. We do want you to talk about being a volunteer and how much fun it is, because we're always trying to grow the team and be able to assist more of our patients. It's kind of like a job in that you want to turn your reports in a timely fashion and keep track of your hours, keep track of your miles, all those things, which is going to be on your report form. One other important issue is that if your patient should happen to fall, you're going to want to call Miller first. Do not call 911, which is what we've all been trained to do. When they become a patient at Miller Hospice is the go-to. So just kind of burn that into your brain that if something happens when you're there, call Miller first, and then they will determine if 911 needs to be called or if the family needs to be called, and they'll take it from there. So that's a change maybe from what you're used to. So welcome again to the volunteer department at Miller Hospice. I hope that you love caring for people at this important time in their journey, and we're so glad to have you.
Everyone, my name is Chaplain Tony McMillan, and I serve as Hospice Chaplain and Veterans Bereavement Coordinator with Miller Hospice. I am also an Army Desert Storm combat veteran. I served on the front line in Iraq, clearing minefields, and that experience deeply shaped who I am today. It gave me firsthand understanding of sacrifice, trauma, service, and the lasting emotional and spiritual impact that military service can carry throughout a veteran's life. Today, I consider it both an honor and a calling to continue serving this time by walking alongside our patients, especially our veterans and their families, during some of life's most sacred and challenging moments. My role at Miller Hospice. At Miller Hospice, my role is centered on providing spiritual care, emotional support, grief counseling, and veteran-specific support for those we serve. For many patients and families, hospice is not only about medical care, it is also about addressing spiritual questions, emotional pain, unresolved grief, and finding peace. As a chaplain, I meet people right where they are, regardless of their faith, tradition, or personal beliefs. My goal is to offer compassion, dignity, and presence. As Veteran Bereavement Coordinator, I have the privilege of supporting our veterans through end-of-life care, while also helping their families understand the unique experience that may shape their loved one's journey, including combat trauma, PTSD, moral injury, war era related illnesses. Serving veterans with understanding. Because I am a veteran myself, there is often an immediate bond and trust. Veterans know when someone truly understands the aspects of military life that are different to explain, let's say difficult to explain. Combat stress, survivor's guilt, loss, and moral injury. I have provided education to Miller Hospice staff and other facilities on PTSD and moral injury, helping caregivers understand that all wounds are not visible. I have also educated teams about how different war eras, World War II, Korea, or the Korean War, Vietnam, Desert Storm, and post 9/11 conflicts can impact veterans physically, emotionally, and spiritually in different ways. This knowledge allows us to provide more compassionate, informed care. Miller Hospice and its mission and heart. What makes Miller Hospice special is our commitment to treating the whole person, body, and spirit. We believe every patient deserves dignity, compassion, and personalized care. I'm proud to be a part of a team that honors not only medical needs, but our patients also, and their stories, families, faith, and legacy. In closing, for me, this work is more than a profession. It's a calling. Whether I'm serving a veteran, supporting a grieving spouse, educating caregivers, or simply sitting with someone in their final journey. My goal is to bring hope, healing, and honor. At Miller Hospice, we are here to ensure that no one walks this path alone. Thank you again. My name is Chaplain Tony McMillan, and I'm a hospice chaplain here at Miller.
Hi, welcome to Miller Hospice Volunteer Training. It's so wonderful to see you all here, and what a joy it is that you've decided to join our team. I always marvel at those of you that decide to join us. I think about all the rest of us who are paid, and you guys decide to join us being actual volunteers. So thank you so much for being a part of our team. It's so exciting to see all of you. I wish I could literally see you all. So I just imagine you all sitting here and being a part of us. So thank you for being here. I'm Michelle Fox. I'm the director of the program, and it is a great joy to have you guys be a part of us. And I'm here to explain to you a little bit about what hospice is. And when I first was asked to be a part of hospice care, I was asked to interview for a job as an executive director. And I said, "What in the world is hospice?" And this was like 30 years ago. So you can imagine 30 years ago, it really wasn't much known. And I was trying to imagine what in the world it was. So I read a lot about it. And I want to explain a little bit to you. You may know a lot about it, some of you, and some of you may know little about it. So I want to explain a little bit about what I learned and what I think that you can take away. I'll try to keep it pretty not so lengthy for you and try to kind of take away the things that I learned the most about it in the Reader's Digest version. So, what is hospice care to me? It's a concept of care. It's care of people in the final stages that have an incurable disease. And it's pretty much about the late stages of care. And, we know of people who have cancer, and sure enough, I think people think that hospice care is all about people who have just cancer, but it's more than that. It's people that have congestive heart failure, COPD, Parkinson's disease can be appropriate for that. It can be Lewy body dementia. It can be people with Alzheimer's disease. It can be all those things can certainly have hospice care. And we know that all those diseases certainly have, certainly are people that are chronically ill, but we know those diseases can't be cured. And as they advance throughout their illnesses, they get to a stage that at some point those patients are going to die and experience the end stage of life. So we are a part of what can help them through that stage and throughout their journey of an incurable disease. And so care is really given to the family and to the patient. So it's not just for patient care, but it's for the family care. And when you think about people that you've known that you have had ill, and some of you may have experienced hospice care, and that may be why you've chosen to be a volunteer. And that is that you certainly have experienced and walked that journey with your loved one. So, for instance, if you have someone that has had congestive heart failure, you have walked that journey with them. You've taken them to doctor's offices. You have certainly been with them through that journey, and you've seen them in the early stages and you've seen them progress to the end stages of that illness. And so you walk them through that and you've seen them to be dealing with symptoms of that illness. And so it's a part, the entire family. You deal with that and you watch them throughout that whole process. So you're grieving as they go through that. Also, with Alzheimer's, we've all experienced Alzheimer's with certain patients or certain family members, possibly. I've experienced that with my own mother-in-law, who's in our program right now with that diagnosis. And I've watched her deal with this and progression of that illness. And we grieve her because she can't remember who we are. And that's a grief process that we've experienced. So hospice helps us and helps us as family deal with those issues of grief as we go through that. And the attention is given through all aspects of living with a patient who has that illness and focuses on quality of life and the patient to live life as fully as possible until the very end. So the patient with congestive heart failure, we're helping treat that illness and those symptoms so that they can have as much of a normal life as possible with symptoms of that illness till the very end. And we deliver care to the patient and to the family in their own home. So I think it's important to understand that. I used to think that hospice care was a place that you went to and you delivered care to them in their own place of like a place like a hospice office. So when I first went to interview for a job, I was like, well, where's all the people at? Where's all the hospice patients at? And we deliver care to them in their own home, into an assisted living facility, in a nursing home, in an independent living area. So hospice care is wherever a patient resides at, and we can deliver that care to them wherever they live at. So we just have to have a physician who identifies a patient as having 6 months or less prognosis and meets a Medicare criteria. It is a Medicare type of funding, and I'll go over that in just a minute with you, okay? So hospice is really personalized care that addresses the medical, emotional, spiritual, and psychosocial aspects of a patient with a life-limiting illness, and it addresses that in the final stages of life. And it's really to help them in the highest quality care, providing the highest quality of care possible. And it's about living, it's about providing them to live out their life's goals till the very end. And I think so often people think of it as, oh, it's doom and gloom. Am I going to die sooner if I get on hospice care? There's so many myths out there about hospice, and people do not die sooner getting on hospice care. I know my own father, when he came on hospice with our services, said, Michelle, you're going to make me die sooner if I get on hospice, if I come on your program. And my own father, after watching me in the 27 years of being in this industry, care industry, I said, Dad, that's not how it works. You know that. But somehow he still had that conception and perception that you can die sooner by getting on hospice care. That is not true. That does not quicken the illness, that does not make the patient die quicker or sooner. It actually has been found in literature that it actually helps the patient live longer because we help alleviate their symptoms of that illness, and they actually live longer with quality of life being more improved because of our incredible symptom management that comes a part of our program. It's kind of like when you have a hip fracture, you go to that specialist, you go to orthopedic doctor. When you're having a baby, you go to the OB/GYN physician. At hospice, we are very specialized in end of life care. And our nurses have learned very much about taking care of patients at end of life. And it is a very specialized service. And you go to the experts. And hospice is the experts in end of life care. And it is a concept of care. And it is a concept about helping people live life to the absolute fullest. And it is very much, we're trying to make sure that people understand it's not a doom and gloom. It's about living life, and it's about another medical resource of care. And so often I think physicians will say, and this is exactly how they put it, and I can say this because I have a son who's now becoming a physician. He's a third year resident. He's in emergency medicine. And some of their training, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I absolutely value physicians with my utmost heart. Sometimes in training, they have been told, we can send you to hospice. There's nothing more I can do for you. And that's the verbiage that they have been taught. Now we're trying to teach them that here's another medical resource that we can give you. It's called hospice care. And it should be considered an extension of medical resources for them. So if ever you have friends that you, as a part of your training and a part of your extension here as our hospice team, that need hospice care, you can say that. This is another medical resource for you, and it's called hospice care. And I'm a part of Miller Hospice. And that's a huge part of what you'll be doing as a part of our team is you're going to be a huge advocate for Miller Hospice and talking about resources that people didn't even know that they needed and could have access to. So I want to give you a little bit of history of Miller Hospice. Miller C. and Ida Miller were longtime Tulsans dedicated to Tulsa. They were very much dedicated to giving to the Tulsa community. And they decided they wanted to develop a hospice program, specifically at first to help the Jewish community. And they wanted to develop it to help the Jewish community to have a program specific to help the Jewish community to have a program that took care of that culture and that population, specific to learn how to care for them and their own. And then later, as a part of that, we have developed it further to take care of others in the community. It is a part of Zero Point, which is a long-term care facility, which used to be known as Tulsa Jewish Retirement Healthcare Facility, and is located here at 71st and Lewis. And we are happy to share that we are part of them, and they are a great parent company which helps support us. And Bruce and Brenda Magoon were proud to continue this tradition of honoring thy father and mother by dedicating Miller Hospice in memory of Meyer C. and Ida Miller. So we've been in operation since 2006. So we've been in operation, you can see, for many years. So we're a long-standing, very, very much operational and supportive here in the community. So when people say there's other hospices here in the community, yes, there are. There are tons of hospices, I hate to say that, in the community that are our competition, but we are very long-standing hospice here. We are a 5-star hospice program that has been known in the Tulsa community for some time. But when I say 5-star, that means we are a CMS, which is Medicare.gov, 5-star program, which means that our families, when they get through having our services, are sent a survey by Medicare that rates us. And it's rated based upon certain metrics about how well did we do with their care. Like how well did we communicate? How well did we support them in pain management? How responsive did we do to the care that they needed, like after hours? How well did we respond? How well was their spiritual support? How well did we train them to take care of their loved one? All those are metrics that we're measured by. And they rated us so high that the stars are rated 1 through 5, and we were rated 5 star, and we've been 5 star for some time. There are only 3 hospices that are 5 star, and we are proud to say that we were the first 5 star hospice program, and we continue to be one of the 5 star programs. So we're thrilled to be a part of that, a very unique and elite group. So I share that with you. So you can share that with your friends when you're out advocating for hospice care. One of the things I think that makes us our standards that are very important to us are excellence of care. We talk about that as a clinical group all the time. How can we continue to be excellent at what we do? And how can we continue to deliver excellent care? So part of when we go over the metrics that we talk about what we strive to be a 5 star program, we continue to look at what makes us and continue to strive to be excellent at. So we go over those things all the time and those standards. And accessibility. We try to respond quickly to referrals when they come in. So when a family calls us, and most of our referrals, I will tell you, come from word of mouth. So when families call us, and when we get a referral, mostly it's families who have heard from another family member or from someone else in the community. Who should I use for hospice care when they are talking about, I really feel like my family, here's where we're at, and here's what I feel like we need, or what do I need? Someone a close friend will say, you need hospice care. You need to call Miller Hospice, which is a wonderful compliment to us. And one of the things they'll say is they're so quick to respond. And when we get a referral, we go out either the same day or the next day. And if it's not the same day, it's because families have chosen not to come for us to come out that day. They may want us to come out another day because they're working, or they have someone, another family they want to have join them for the admission. And the other is compassion. We feel like we want to give compassionate care for pain and symptom management. And we really strive to really be there and to make sure that if they have pain, we study this to make sure how quick do we respond to pain issues that are going on with the family and patient, with the patient. And we study this to say, do we do that within 24 hours? How quickly can we get on top of the pain? And a high percentage of what we can accomplish for pain is within the first 24 hours. And we study that to make sure. And I think that percentage is like in the 92 percentile that we get on pain within the first 24 hours that we admit someone, which is a very wonderful accomplishment. Communication is another standard. We feel like if we're going to be taking care of someone, we have to make sure we communicate well to them about how we take care of their loved one. Can you imagine going in and no one told you how to do that? I know when my own father and mother they were actually in our program. I told my staff, please make sure you know and pretend I know nothing, because your knowledge goes out the window. I don't care if you have medical knowledge or not. When your own loved one is hurt or is in the program or is in hospice and is dying, your knowledge goes completely out, and you need to be communicated well too. And even if you're not have medical knowledge, you need to be communicate well how to take care of them, how to turn them, how to give medications. When do I call hospice? What do I do? You're frightened because you don't know what in the world to expect. And actually, the worst fear is fear of the unknown. And communication is vital to alleviate that fear. So we believe communication is so critical. And I think you'll learn too as a volunteer, when you communicate, and the more you communicate about what your role is going to be, the more vital and the more comfortable that the patient and family are going to feel by you being right there at the bedside. So I know that Lori's going to share with you more about your role as you expand into the role being a volunteer for us. And she's going to share with you how vital that is. Responsiveness is so critical. We address every need of the patient and family. We feel like we try to do that. Sometimes we don't meet the mark, but most times we feel like that's our goal, is to meet the mark. And so one of the things we do is we try to put a comfort kit out in the home. So when we go on to admission, our nurses try to anticipate every issue. So we put medications that we know are going to be anticipated to be in the patient's home so that they don't have to wait, because it never fails. All those issues are happening at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we have to wait for pharmacy to deliver the meds. Well, we try to plan ahead for that and try to have it right there in the patient's home. So that's why we try to be more responsive. We try to have every piece of equipment we can anticipate to have it in the home. So we've tried to have contracts with the equipment company so that every equipment is there and every one of their needs can be anticipated so that they don't have to think about it, they don't have to worry about it, that we have tried to plan ahead for them in anticipating that. So those are kind of our service standards, and then also feedback from them to know how well did we do that? Did we do that well, or do we need to do a better job at doing that? So those things are really important to us. And previously, I shared about this is all a part of hospice Medicare. There's a Medicare benefit that every one of us, as we become Medicare age, or if we are Medicare age, there's a hospice Medicare benefit we're all entitled to. That was a benefit that was given to us by under Medicare. We didn't know it unless we become terminally ill. It's under Medicare Part A. And it's an incredible benefit that has been given to us, that we have available to us. And this benefit is incredible. We can choose whichever hospice, and when I say that, I think it's very important you understand this. Every Medicare recipient can choose which hospice they want to have take care of them. And a lot of times, doctors will try to say, oh, this is the hospice you need to go with. You have, as a Medicare recipient, every right to choose which hospice you want. And so um, that is, you can sign up which hospice you want to take care of you. So when we sign a patient up, they sign a consent form that says, I elect, and the word is elect, to have hospice X, which could be Miller or whoever. I'm just going to say Miller in this situation. Miller Hospice to choose, I choose them to take care of me. And this benefit will cover then Hospice Miller Hospice to take care of them. And that is related to that terminal illness. So let's say this patient came on for congestive heart failure, and that is what the physician determined would be their terminal illness. So if it's congestive heart failure, then we would have the equipment go out. Might be a bed that patient would need. It might be oxygen they need because they're shortness of breath. They might need a suction machine down the road for maybe fluid overload because they might need that. They might need supplies. Maybe they're incontinent of urine and bowel, and they might need briefs or underpads for their bed. All those things would be a part. Supplies are all a part of what we cover that they might need. Equipment and medications that are related to their illness. So when we admit a patient, we go over what medications that they might need related to that, like congestive heart failure, whatever the terminal illness is. So the nurse will go over what meds they would need in relation to that life-threatening terminal illness. And we have them sign a sheet of paper that says, here's the meds we'll cover, and here's the meds we won't cover. Because Medicare says we don't have to cover every med, but we have to cover medications that related to their life-threatening illness. And then the services that we cover are nurses that come in and out of the homes. And we don't put nurses in there 24/7. We don't provide 24/7 coverage, but we go in and out of the homes. So the nurses will go in about twice a week and more if the patient starts to decline more. But twice a week is about an average visit frequency that they go in the home. And then the home health aide frequency is based upon the patient's condition also. So usually we start out about twice a week, and we increase that frequency also to take care of their personal needs based upon what the patient's needs are as well. And that increases as they progress in their decline. And then we have social workers that go in also to help support with resource management, help them with if they have nursing home placement they need. And then also we have chaplains that go in to help support them if they would like that. Or they connect them with their clergy, their own clergy. They might notify their current clergy or pastors that they're in hospice care based upon approval from the patient and family. And then we also have on-call nursing staff. So after hours on weekends and during the weekdays, if they ever have a need after hours, they can call our nurse on call and they will come out and assess them and help them after hours. And they are very attentive. We have designated on-call staff that are extremely attentive and they know all about the patient because we have a great messaging system that goes between daytime and nighttime. And it's a very smooth system so that we communicate very effectively between our daytime and nighttime staff. They also will do admissions after hours and weekends to help us also with the patient. So we think that's very important because that's one of, I think, our unique niches in the community is a lot of time our competitors do not do weekend admissions and after hours. So it never fails. I don't know about you, but every medical situation I've ever had has always happened on the weekends and after hours. Needs and care does not stop. Just Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And every hospice need I ever had in my family happened on a weekend. My mom was admitted on a Sunday afternoon, and I called my hospice team in, and they would have came out regardless if I wouldn't have been director of the program. And also, my dad was admitted on Labor Day weekend, Labor Day holiday. He had to be admitted that day. And I don't care if it would not have been me, we would have admitted someone exactly that day. So we are here for anybody and everybody, no matter what time or day or night at those times, because the needs never stop. And we are here for patient care because we are a compassionate organization to take care of people's needs when they happen. So just always remember that if you have a family or friend, that call can be made. And all you do is call our main number, which is always available and always answered. So when you say, well, what number do they call? It's our same main hospice number that you call, and you can always reach somebody through that. The other thing I want you to know is we have patient and family rights that we always are very attentive to. They have the right to informed consent about care. They have the right to choose whatever hospice program they want. So we've gone out before and people have said, yeah, we think we want you. And we've gone out and they have 3 other hospice brochures right there and they're trying to decide. And they have chosen another hospice besides us, and that's okay. We want for people to be picking and choosing the hospice that meets their needs the most. We're not here to wrestle people, wrestle people to the ground to pick Miller Hospice. We're here to make sure they understand about what our program's about and the one that best meets their needs. Of course, we would love it if they choose our program because we feel like we're here to help them in the greatest time of need. But it's okay if they choose another program because what we want is what's best for them. We also feel like the patients have the right for free of discrimination. They have the right to voice grievances with us, and we take that very seriously. We will go out and visit with the family and patient if they have any grievances with us. They have the right for effective pain management. They have the right to be involved in their plan of care, the right to refuse care or treatment. We have families who may say, I don't want them to have any pain management. And that's really hard for us because we know how pain-free they can be. But we had a little lady call the other day. We took the referral. I took the referral. She said, I don't want him to have any pain management. Patient himself said, I don't want any pain management because they were afraid we would oversedate him. We feel like with education, that's part of a misunderstanding about what pain management can do to help them. But if they still choose in the end not to have pain management, that's certainly their right to choose. So there's certain things we get into when we deal with patient care. That's certainly their right to choose, and we respect that. Um, they have the right to the right to be considerate of staff. Patients responsible to have instructions and report unexpected changes to Miller. So these are all things that we feel like we patients have the right to do and do. I've told you that hospice can be given in different settings. So I want to go over that again. It's always interesting because I think people get confused by that. We can go into patients' own homes. We can go into a nursing home. We can go into assisted living, independent living, and I said already assisted living, long-term cares, residential care facilities, group homes, wherever the patient resides at. So what's interesting about that is in a nursing home, a lot of times patients will be in a long-term care setting already. What gets tricky about that sometimes is some of the long-term care homes have arrangements already with hospices. So if someone's already in a long-term care home, sometime I will have to call and say, hey, Gary Brown has asked that we be involved with their care. Are you okay if I get a contract with you so that we can go in and take care of him? Sometimes long-term care facilities will say, okay, we've not worked with you before. We'll let you in this one time. Other times they'll say no. So please know that that gets tricky because of long-term care relationships with other hospices. But 9 times out of 10, they will let us do that for a one-time contract with a certain patient. So the nursing homes have certain relationships with hospices, and sometimes that gets very tricky for us to have to do that. Other times it's okay, but we do not back down to try to do that in behalf of the patient and family. And other times we will say, hey, we have a relationship with like Zero Point. We'll try to maybe get them a bed there or try to make other arrangements to best adjust situations in behalf of the patient. So just know that. That's kind of one of the tricky situations that we have in our industry. So one of the things I also want to talk to you about is just to mention some names that you might see as a part of our hospice team. I'm very blessed and fortunate to work with an incredible team. And I've been here almost 7 years. My background has been hospice for almost 30 years. And I actually worked at Cancer Treatment Center for about 6 or 7 and then came back to hospice. So I just missed it. It's sure a passion and a for me. And I have the wonderful pleasure of working at Miller now for 7 years. And I've been surrounded by an incredible team. And Charity Moravik is our business office manager, which you will hear her when you call, and you will probably see her as a part of being a part of our team. You'll see her a lot. She's incredible. She's the backbone to the organization. I call her the actual CEO of the organization. The other person that you will see is Anita Nixon. She's our assistant patient care coordinator. She's mainly in the office all the time. Elaine Lay is the actual patient care coordinator. She's in and out of the office. You will see her doing admissions. You'll see her go out with and deal with patient care. She will assist the nurses with the actual patient care. She's a brilliant clinician, and I brought her over here from Cancer Treatment Center to be the actual. She's patient care coordinator, but also in the other world, she'd probably be called a clinical manager. So she and Anita, we worked together at Cancer Treatment Center, and we have now been over here together now for almost, I guess they came after I came, so 6 years they've been here. And then Lori, who you know is volunteer coordinator, she's here. And that's the main people. Oh, and Tony McMillan is our bereavement coordinator. So you'll see him a lot in the office. He's a part of the office. And then Kara Webb is our community liaison person. So she does a great job out marketing for us in the community. And anyway, that's mainly who you'll see here in the office. Sometimes it's bare bones in the office when you come in. You might see myself and Charity in here, myself, Charity, and Anita in here, but we're here to help and support you. And we just really appreciate the opportunity to have you guys here as volunteers. And your role as a volunteer is so important to us. You are such an ambassador for us. You are an ambassador. You can help spread the word about Miller Hospice. You can help us to speak out in the community, to talk about Miller. You know, sometimes you'll be in a grocery store line and somebody will see your name tag on and say, hey, are you part of Miller Hospice? You can talk all about Miller Hospice as a part of that. You can help patients, be a companion. You can assist Miller with administrative duties here in the office. We appreciate that so much too. There's many different roles for you to have. And I cannot thank you enough from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of all of our staff's heart here at Miller for you having this opportunity to be with us and to be a part of us. So thank you so much. And I look forward to meeting each of you all individually. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have